What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. It's a Wednesday, which of course means it is time for our 3-weekly update for Rugby 25. What are we waiting to see today? Now, I've got in very early on this one. The update has quite literally just sort of come out, set the update to do, and what have you. We are now into the version, the 1.03707 sort of deal. So we're so early to it that there isn't actually any patch notes out, because of course they wait for the update to roll out on consoles, which takes later, but I am so busy today that I'm not going to have time to wait for those patch notes. But luckily we do kind of know what is already coming if you're over on the FAQ page and stuff. It's alive at the minute with the sounds of complaints and people not happy and stuff like that, so I'm looking forward to jumping in myself and getting a bit of games testing. But we do know what's sort of come in this update. I think originally they were aiming to try and get some of the Women's Rugby World Cup stuff in, and then they sort of said like there's been some delays and some of the stuff going on there, so it looks like that's probably not going to be in for this one. They have been updating the conversion kicks. J&T's put out a diagram on the FAQ page of what the conversion kicks now look like in terms of different colours equal different difficulties and the sort of trajectory arcs you're allowed to work inside of with the analog sticks. So we'll test that today. We're looking to try and get some conversion kicks over. They've also been messing around with the fens and the bump offs to try and make them less OP and just in every single carry from the AI you can't do it now. So they've said it's basically more to do with like a timing window. You've got to really sort of time that correctly in order to get like a handoff or a sidestep or some of that other stuff. And we'll do a bit more of a general play as well. But with no patch notes, gives us a bit of a chance to talk about generally the update for the last 2 weeks. For anyone who's seen on the channel, I've been doing the Mad Dragon Rugby Championship, trying to go alongside the actual Rugby Championship. Normally when I do the Mad Dragon tournaments of the real life games and stuff, it is normally a case where it's been Rugby 20, Rugby 22, or Rugby 2011 even in some instances, where I'm trying to do it. All I'm doing is jumping into a game, playing it once, trying my best to make it feel as entertaining as possible, and, you know, whatever happens, happens, and that goes out to the video. Rugby 25 hasn't really allowed me to do that, because there are so many games that unfortunately you just have where you go like, nothing is happening. So many games, even if you literally put the controller down, the AI is not doing anything. You win a game 40-0 and I just go like, that's not entertaining. No one's going to want to watch that. And I'm going back and I'm desperately reloading the game. It's taken me 10, 12 games to find a game that I say, that one, some interesting stuff happened. And that's what's changed into it. It's making it a little bit more tricky, but it's, you know, hopefully people are at least still managing to find some enjoyment from it. There are highlights though. There are highlights from those games. And what I want to put on screen, this was a try I did for the first game that was the Argentina versus New Zealand. This was the first one, where New Zealand managed to get a bit of a breakaway try against me. And you know what? It looked a little bit janky in points, but ultimately it felt good. They managed to ship it out wide, got one of the sort of cheesy handoffs, able to break through the line. But then the line that was taken afterwards really sort of cutting me inside and out. They were looking for some nice passes. There was nice support running lines. And in that point, I was genuinely trying very hard to defend that and couldn't. When you have those little highlight moments, you go, why can't this be all the time? Because that feels so good. So we're going to look to see what has changed with that. I just kind of wanted to show that you can have these moments in this game where actually the AI will break away and you are in desperate trouble. So we'll jump in today, knowing that we're looking at the conversion kicks, the fens, and we sort of want general around the park play. What I'm thinking is we're probably going to do higher rated team versus a lower rated team. Play as the higher rated team for the first half, get quite a few tries, look at these conversion kicks, see what's changed, see how we feel about the fend, but then swap to be the lower rated team in the second half, and that will allow us to see what it feels like from a defensive standpoint. And you know, maybe that'll sort of give a better indication of how these fens are working. So let's go. You know, Tonga rated 78. We'll play as the Tongan side. I feel like I've done a lot of Australia recently. I've done all the Rugby Championships a lot recently. We do France. France are a pretty tricky team. We'll keep it on hardest difficulty. We do the 5-minute match stuff. We'll swap it to the start of France so we can at least have a little bit of atmosphere with it. So we're going to be taking a look at the conversion kicks. The conversion kicks are so weird. Now they've changed the dynamic conversion kicks, which now means that they have that power bar on screen. As I've been doing the Rugby Championship, some games I'm nailing kicks. I'm 100% successful. some games I'm struggling to kick it from in front of the post, and I don't know what I'm doing different that's wrong, so I feel like there might have been something on their end that maybe something wasn't quite aligned properly, so hopefully seeing this going forward, it will make a lot more sense. I'll put the diagram back up on screen for you guys so you can see it, what J&T has given us on the FAQ page. So basically, from my understanding of what he's said in the post about it, is that the colours represent difficulties and your leeway. So if you're playing on the easiest difficulty, you basically have within the blue bars to kick, and that's, you know, how much, you know, range left or right you can afford to miss as well. I assume green is easy, yellow is medium, first red is hard, and then second red is hardest, I'm gonna guess. So obviously you're playing on hardest, you've got a really narrow V to try and get that kick through, which is why it goes so wrong if you're even ever so slightly off. But let's see how it feels then. So first of all, we're going to be taking a look at the side steps, the bump off, all that stuff. So let's go for a handoff. 1 for 1. 1 for 1 so far on these nerfed handoffs. Maybe I've just got my timing, you know, just beautifully correct. Maybe I'm just brilliant at it. Okay, that time went for a handoff. Didn't work for me. AI looking to put me in a bit of pressure. Let's go for a bump off. Bump off. Successful 1 for 1. Maybe I've just played so much of this game I've got my timings absolutely on. Second bump off didn't work. Okay, that's fine. It's low to the ruck for me here. Let's go right. We'll go for another handoff. Or we'll just go through. We'll just go through. Any support runners with me here, boys? Another handoff successful. Now, I have seen on the FAQ page already, because people beat me to these. I always find that amazing. I keep a very close eye on what happens with these updates coming out and stuff. And people still beat me to getting into having games. People have been saying they were really struggling with the handoffs. I'm so far about 86% successful in what I've been attempting. Let's try and go for a turnover here. I feel like we've got some advantage not to be. Let's try and catch them behind the gain line. They got a successful sidestep on me that time. Looking to try and get a turnover. Still not getting those turn. That looked like another successful sidestep for the AI. I'm noticing less of the offload spam from the AI, which is nice, because the AI is pretty outrageous when it comes to the offload. There was one. Right, we've certainly got an advantage there, maybe. At the breakdown, it is something that feels like it changes every single update, even though they don't mention it, around the ruck areas. How you get a turnover? How does it work? How do I win it back? I never really know. Right, we've got that one. Let's go for a bump off. Another successful bump off. I'm landing these bump offs clean at the minute. Let's make a bit of a break. We want to also go for those tries as well. Let's go for a little kick over the top. See if BLBRE's got the pace to get on that. Just put him into touch. Give myself a nice little bit of room to work with here. Let's go for a try. Let's see if we can go for these conversions and test it out and what have you. Let's see off the back of the line out there. Are they going to be able to steal this? I still feel like the line outs is an area that the AI still don't always sort of poach from you or get the greatest calls, even on the hardest difficulty. They don't match up all the time. Right, let's go for a bump off over for the try. Still got those bump offs working very well for me. Let's try another handoff. Another handoff success. And it might be that I've just got... Maybe try a handoff from slightly further back. That fell from quite far back. And it was still successful. I'm just going to glide through here, boys. Don't mind me. I want to look at the conversion kicking as well. So far, I've not really experienced the feeling of that it's been nerfed. The handoffs and the bump offs. I've had one or two that didn't work, but they weren't always 100% for you as the player. Sometimes the AI was able to tackle you. Right, so they've got this now. So J&T also said something about the left trigger, or LB. Ooh! Oh, you can now use LB and RB to change the swing left and right, which is down there by name as well. Don't know if I like this. Can I, like, not have such a weird steep curve? Can I, like... Oh, okay, yeah! Ooh! Okay, I like that. Hang on. And let's just do it for a conversion kick. That felt better from a bit further range out. So, I like that! I feel like I even said that at one point, right? Sometimes the arc, the curve in the arc is really like... I don't know. I'm saying the word steep, but I actually guess I mean shallow. It's really angled outwards, and it looks so weird. You're doing like the sort of famous Dan Carter banana kick. And it's too wide. So they've now added in the LB and RB functions that is going to let you change the steepness of that curve. And I like that. I think that's nice. I still don't understand why the steepness is ever shallow. I feel like it would almost be better to start it out at default. There's another good bump off by me. Offloads feel harder to get away, actually. I feel like I've actually got very few offloads away. Tonga are also crushing me at the breakdown for turnovers. But I would be like, I would imagine more kicks often than not will be relatively steep and quite straight. Rugby 25 is a game that has really tried to add the idea of when you kick a ball, it really curls in the air. I don't think wind is like properly in the game and the way it works and the way that's displayed to the player. So I would maybe like it more if you started out quite straight on the kick and you were just sort of going to go for an up and over kick. And then when there's something to display the wind on screen, you would have to manually adjust the arc to be slightly more left or right and try and get that round along with positioning it left and right. I think that would give you as the player a bit more of something to work on there. AI, Lionel, let's see if we can go front and still steal that. I'm glad that you don't always steal them, even as the higher rated team. Have had a few issues with the mauls getting stuck and the AI not being able to play out the mauls. That time they do. Still throwing some wild passes inside. It is something I'm already considering now for the Rugby Championship. With the my fear is, can the AI actually score when they've got the things like the handoffs and stuff being nerfed? They're getting the sidesteps very consistently, it feels like. But with the handoffs, the bump offs, all that stuff being nerfed, do the AI have enough about them that they are actually still able to score tries without the need for a cheat or what have you? And you know what, Tonga's putting me under some pressure here. Still, you know, you've got to basically relearn after every update. Nice try. Still off the offload, it's still off doing stuff. With the updates, every time it feels like the ruck change. Like, one player in there, I got 5 players in quick, made no difference. Around the park, I feel like I've had some other advantages. Is it worth me putting in 5? Does it even matter? Is it better to keep more players in my defensive line? But they got over for a try. You know, it's nice to be able to see. That is something I've experienced in quite a few of the games I've filmed for the Rugby Championship, is the AI not scoring. And not even because I'm necessarily defending well. Occasionally, just to try and make the videos more interesting, I'll stop trying to defend very well. And the AI is still not able to score because my own defensive AI is actually defending well enough on my behalf. So, you know what, that's nice to see. At least they were able to just, you know, sort of work their way up to a try. The passing is still a little bit janky from the AI's perspective. It still feels like they are, you know, really these sort of inside-outside passes. You know, 3-person missed pass going back left after you've gone right. Something I've noticed a lot as well doing the Rugby Championship. They really favour this far touchline a lot. Like, a lot. They always want to play far away. Even if they've got numbers coming towards this close touchline, they still try and play back up to the far touchline for some reason. Let's go for another bump off. Another successful bump off. Maybe my timing is just very good. I really don't feel like I'm... There's another handoff. I really don't feel like I've noticed a great deal of nerf from my perspective. Sometimes the backs don't always break through anyway. I've already noticed that. The AI still, again, don't understand. You know, it's okay. They had numbers in there at the start, but it still feels like there's something going on with the rucking system that, like, it is just first man in, and the AI seems to know what's going on, what the sort of advantage is. I feel like that's very similar to what I had on my own try line. And even to there, I got 5 players in, they got 4 in. And then they got the turnover. You know, they did get... Technically, that player 3 got in first. So does that mean they're able to get it? They got to 3 first. What does it mean? It changes every time. I honestly, it's one of those things I feel like I really have to relearn what the game wants from me every single time. And I know we've asked for the Rucks to be updated for a long time, you know, in this game. Right since early access. The AI still not finding touch with the box kicks again is another one. You know, it's half-time, 7-all from Tonga versus France. You know, that's a really nice scoreline. You'd see, you know, you might want to see them kick that one into touch going at half-time, drawing. Whereas in the 80th minute, they just sort of kick it out, even if they're losing. You know, and that's really annoying to me. They've still not fixed the player names, by the way, in the bottom of the screen. Still not. Still not on screen. We're up to update. What are we even on now? We're at update 30 yet? I'll know by the time I make the thumbnail and stuff. AI again? Able to get... Why? Why does it happen? What happens for it to make sense? I just do not understand. Clear tackle there. It's 2v2. I've already lost the ball. My guy is already rolled the wrong way. Nobody's even in to this ruck. And he's already handing it over that side. It just feels like there's some mechanics in the background that obviously the AI play to. Oh, they've actually kicked that one out. Hopefully. Have seen more where the AI is doing cross-field kicks in their own 22. I'm hoping that was kicked out. If that was kicked out, that feels better. Because that's something that needed to happen. You know, pin back in your own 22, you draw in the game. There's no reason to play that on. Kick it out, go in at halftime as a draw. That's nice. I like to. In fact, we're going to swap sides as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. Because I also want to see what it's like to defend against a higher rate. 7-all. You know, I was actually looking to try and score tries then, but I got so wrapped up in the way the rucks are working, I actually kind of forgot about what I was trying to do there. So that was nice to see. That the AI did actually kick that one off the park. It's interesting they still don't just do it from like a box kick or the scrum half picking it up and, you know, sort of kicking it off themselves. But, you know, at least they did get it off the park, because it's very weird to see them not do that in a game. Right, let's go for a handoff there. Handoff didn't work there by my winger. Let me try on the inside here. We'll go for another bump off. Good tackle coming in by Aldrich. Came on a bit of an angle there. They look short-manned out on this wing. We'll move very far down this wing. Get that kick away. Kicking still a little bit janky with after those tackles coming in. I do feel like the AI sidestep is still 100%. I don't know if I've seen them miss a sidestep yet. And a bump off successful there. I really don't know about this idea that they've been nerfed. I feel like they're very consistent so far for both sides. Maybe there's something to do with being the higher rated team. There's another bump off there. Oh, I'll take that one. Again, broke through the tackle, gave the offload. Why are you giving the offload there? No need. You were through. There's almost a try guaranteed there, but they decided to perform an offload. I intercept the ball. It's now mine. You know, stuff like that is something I would really like to see changed in this game. Successful bump off by me. Really feel like I'm nailing these bump offs. Maybe my timing is just impeccable, but I don't feel like I'm that good at the game. We'll make a bit of a breakthrough. Let's go for another. Let's go for a wide conversion with a slightly lower rated kicker. Oh, sorry, the try. I'm sure J&T also mentioned something about try animations. I'm through the fence. I believe they've changed something. Now, I'll have to do that. We'll make sure we get a couple of tries. So I believe now they've changed the try animation selection on your controller. So I'm sure he said that the X, A, and B button on an Xbox controller is now like that. Like he's dotted the ball down. And they've changed it now so that Y, or holding Y, is going to be the dive for the try. So you get to choose a try celebration. So that would be nice. Okay, so we've got quite a far left wing. I'm going to use my RB to straighten it up. No. LB to straighten it up. LB. I'm not quite sure what is what. But okay, yeah, I know what I'm aiming for is that. Wind is apparently slightly going left. We'll charge it for the kick. And we got it through. A kick like that, I would have missed in the last update, even though I felt like I got that pretty nailed on. I've got 300 hours in this game now. I should be able to push an analog stick forwards. So looks like whatever was slightly off in the last update that meant you had those weird kicks that went very far left or right. Looks like that's been corrected, which is nice. Now, I want to score another try because I actually want to go over for a diving try to see what looks different. I did feel at one point as well, I was also seeing some really nice try animations, like the players like raising one finger as they were like diving over and sort of a bit of a showboaty way. And I liked that, and then that sort of disappeared. And I'm not sure why that disappeared, because I don't think that was ever in any of like the Rugby Championship videos or anything. I feel like that was just purely as I was just playing on my own, getting a few bits down and giving some feedback, I was like, oh, the try animations look way better. But then for some reason, it feels like they stopped. Let's go for a handoff. Okay, handoff that time didn't work for me. Slightly mistimed that one on my end. Let's try and see if we can get a bit on the inside here, right? Oh, nearly managed to cut up the inside. Surely got numbers going, well, I would say going left, but actually doesn't look like it. Let's go for a diving try. So why is the diving try? And the other ones look like they're now going to dot down the ball, which is nice. You get to have a bit of utility now with the try scoring, which is fun. I do wish they'd have, like, I don't know. I feel like, isn't it like Madden or something? Don't they have like sort of not quite like after try celebrations, but like, is there a way to like do almost like a showboaty try? Like if you held down the button from a distance, you would do like a proper swan dive try. You know, maybe you could do, you know, something else. Maybe you do a sort of front roll where they like dive, put the ball down over the head and do a front roll, bit of a Shane Williams style. Like if the different buttons made more and more elaborate try animations, and if you had a really nice break, you could sort of rub it into the AI. But I think that would be fun. Right, let's give the ball back to... I actually wanted to give the ball back to them, but they managed to get the turnover anyway. We'll see what it's like to try and defend for a bit against a more powerful team with some of these handoffs and bump-offs. Still feel like they're really smashing through the bump-off there once again. The offload does feel less intrusive, which is nice. Going for these wild plays again. And the problem is that they do these plays where they sort of do it like, oh, they've passed more than once, go right, this is going to go back left. Yeah, and I just know it is. I know it is because they always do the same thing. I even actually sent one to J&T and I was like, dude... Ref? I want to claim that was always forward from the hands. It's a great line. It's a great line by Ramos. But that was forward, and in the last update, they got picked up for doing those forward passes. They did get, and the ref called it. He may have awarded a penalty and got the some calls wrong, but they did pick it up. That time didn't seem to pick it up. But I did send over to JT and asked a bit more about like the AI and the way they play, because I really feel like there's a pattern to when you boot the game up, the AI will play a certain way. And I thought I caught on to something and asked him about it, and he sort of came back and just said, nope, that's not how it works at all. But again, like in this game, I know exactly what the AI is doing. When I see a set play happening, I'm like, I know they're going to go back towards that left-hand side, because I'm playing the version of the AI that really promote that left-hand side over everywhere else in the field. There's been very low kicking from the AI. We have seen 2 or so kicks, but they're really not getting themselves out of dodge. I want to try and get over for one more try, just to sort of put it over. Let's go for Fifita. Oh, nearly. Ramos, good tackle there. 80th minute gone, down on the board, kicking the ball away. Why? Why are they kicking this ball away? That is something I've had a lot over the Rugby Championship. And it's very hard when you're trying to make the game entertaining. Like, why have they decided to make this decision? Why would they ever kick the ball away, no matter where they are? When you're down 14 points on the scoreboard, why would you ever give that possession back to me? Actually struggling to get a few more of the bump-offs and the handoffs now. So although I started out very strong with the success percentage, it has certainly looked like it has dropped down now, maybe because it's playing as Tonga and the sort of fatigue is kicking in. Could be a reason why I'm struggling a little bit more with it now. Let's sort of go through the insights and let's make a little bit of a break. I want to go for like a big diving try. Yeah, I don't know. It's nice. It's a nice little like sort of slide across the ground animation. I would like, if you like, that one I held down the Y button as opposed to a tap. And it was quite a casual, I don't know, quite a casual glide. I feel like that's a great break by my insight center. I want to see him swan dive and, you know, really rub it in. I want to see that animation came back where they like wag the one finger as they're diving, like, yeah, got you over, boys. A bit more of a rubbing it into your face. I would like that sort of stuff. I do like this. I like this ability to just twist and turn the thing. I'm going to have to get a little bit more used to what it wants. It feels like occasionally it does the opposite thing. But LB is left, RB is right, and you can sort of steepen and shrink down the kicks. The kicks do feel like they are better. I'll actually try a little bit more. So that one I did on purpose, trying to go wide. I don't know how clearly that's going to show up. I'm sort of like that angle. So maybe outside of the range of what J&T gave us on that thing. I would say my analog stick that time was outside of that red range on hardest difficulty. And so the kick goes wildly right. Interestingly, on that one, unlike 3 weeks ago, if you push too far left, the kick went right. And if you push right, the kick went left. Now, pushing too far right means the kick goes right, which at least makes it make a little bit more sense. I didn't really understand why it was the opposite way round. So I've actually just seen that J&T's also mentioned about the side camera speed. I think he means to do with the kicks. I'm not 100% on what it means. I'm just having a quick look actually at the speed of the camera. All right, don't pick it up then. Looks like a bit of a knock on to me, but apparently not. Nope, no, there. I still got to turn over there. So let's take a look at the a big up and under. How does the camera work feel on it now? It feels kind of sharp. Am I able to get a catch on the end of that? Not quite. Looked like that UI graphic actually didn't appear till very, very late then in that catch. Offside. Offside to me. Let me have a quick look at that one. Oh no, JT is probably watching this video going, "Why is my dragon carried on?" we actually had a good first game. So I did my up and under kick. Came down, landed in the arms there of Max Jorgensen. Everyone is completely behind the ruck. That's absolutely fine. Everyone is behind the back foot. Pass left. I don't think an offside has happened at any point there for that to have been flagged. I'm wondering whether the game has picked up that Nick Frost here was in front of James O'Connor when he got the ball, and he does actually, in the tackle, throw the ball through Nick Frost, and I'm wondering if it's like picked up that he was in front of him. Certainly wasn't an offside. That probably shouldn't have been given. So there's still some issues with the offside calls being slightly incorrect. Let's go for a drop goal because we're kind of close to the post. It'd be kind of easy. Let me just sort of put myself in a position here to go for a drop goal and see how it feels. So let's drop Entomac back. Gonna go for the drop goal, see if the camera angle still feels brutal. I missed, apparently. It's not as intense, which is good. It's very interesting because I noticed that JNT put that down as like a potential thing that they've added in. But I didn't even mention it as I was playing, which is a good thing. If I'm not seeing it, it's because it blends into the game better, you would have to imagine. So what's probably happened there is I've been playing it and not even realised it's changed because it felt smoother, which is nice. I still feel like it's the very initial jar, I think, is still slightly too fast. That was a nice kick. That was a nice kick by the AI. I don't know why they didn't do that in the last game at all. There's something about, I would just think, when you do the box kicks, I think it's because you're not moving that the camera is able to really pan out at a nice speed. Everything about the box kicks feels nice in terms of the speed on the side camera. There is something about the up and unders and the A kicks and the drop goals that have always felt a little bit off. Let me drop back in the pocket. Let me go for another. Let me actually go for the A kick to this bottom corner. It is better. Actually, you know what? I haven't noticed it. It is better. It is far less harsh. It's the very initial point. I feel like almost it goes quite quickly and then slows down. And I think what's obviously happening is it's trying to keep the white circle on screen. So because the area you're kicking away feels so far initially, the game has to jump to allow the game to sort of catch up with where the white circle is. Let me go for an up and under. Just that initial outwards. As soon as you get past that, it's a really nice... Oh, I actually got under that one. I didn't even push a button to catch that one that time. There is... If it was just a little bit slower off that initial launch... Oh, we got a variety of flickering players there. That does still happen. I feel like just where it kicks off from the initial kick, it just needs to be smooth, as opposed to rush quickly to have a nice camera and then slow down. I just think it could go with being slow. I don't think there would be anything too wrong with it, just with even as you're starting that X6, it just slowly brings itself up. But I will admit that does feel better. It feels less janky. Let me have one more shot at the drop goal. Here we come. We're going to run all the way down here. Tom Wright's not going to get back for us. Yada, yada, yada. Let me stop around here. Still missed a tackle. Poor tackle there by Suoli. Let's drop back in the pocket. We're going for this drop goal. I missed it again. I suck at this, don't I? But the camera does feel better. It is better. It's nowhere near as harsh. If you go back and watch some of the Rugby Championship videos, it is immediately outwards and it thrusts you out. It is a much, much better speed. I feel like they could still get away with it being ever so slightly slower. But you know what? I would say there's an honest improvement in there, which is really nice to see. I know if you're playing on the end camera, it's nowhere near as harsh. I've played some games on the end camera and it just doesn't feel anywhere near as bad. So, you know, you guys might not have experienced this. Go for one more big try. That's better. Yes, that's a boom. Big dive try. Maybe you need to get over the try line in order for that to work. Then that's right. Rather than the slide across, I can see it having utility. I would like that to just be the tap Y as the slide, but that's a bit more of a boom, big slide. That's where I want on the you know, holding down the Y button. It feels a bit more showboaty. Let's just go for a you know, one final kick on here. Beautiful. I think they've actually improved quite a few little tweaks and stuff in there, which is nice to see. All right, then let's jump into some thoughts and feedback on this one. Overall, then from the gameplay general perspective, have we noticed some big step up? Are the AI, you know, really crushing it now? Are they doing anything? No, that's not what they've said they were going to target in this one. It was more to do with the fens, the conversion kicking. They've changed the try buttons and stuff. I do believe having the try buttons be different is good. I almost feel like it was like that, right, in the early access, and I feel like they maybe did away with that a bit. I like the idea that different buttons do different try animations. It allows you to do a little bit more. I'm glad that we got that one big diving try at the end there with Pinot, because I want to see a little bit more of that. If you make a really nice breakaway try, you should be able to do a much larger celebration than either just a put down or even just a glide across the ground. I want to see them leap into the air. I want to see a swan dive, you know, something outrageous, you know, just to sort of showboat and do stuff. I think that's fun for sort of videos and stuff, personally for me, but also maybe if you play a bit of multiplayer, want to really rub some salt into the wound. I think that's fun. The conversion kicking feels better. I didn't have a single one of those janky ones apart from the one I did on purpose to test. Seeing the diagram that the JNT's put out on the FAQ page helps you kind of understand what they're looking for a little bit more. I like the harder the difficulty, the narrower the window. That is good. Still, a slight thing for me, which at the minute is I don't feel like I'm going to miss one of them, because you've still just lined the stick up through the posts and hit forwards, and it's still a thing. It's the thing that's always lingered in Rugby 25 with the conversion mechanics. All of it is just line up the line through the post, and you, as long as you do it correctly, then you kind of score. When they begin to add things like the wind in and it actually making a difference, I would like that to not be showcased by the white line changing at all. I think the white line should be treated like your perfect conversion kick. And the win should be external of that, and that you as a player should have to try and mentally take that on board when you're positioning the kick. I really hope when they get around to adding wind in properly and it's built into the game and there's something on screen showing you how fast the wind is going and what have you, and it really makes an impact on the ball. They don't like adjust the white line for the wind, because ultimately it defeats the purpose of having wind on the field at that point. I still do think they're quite easy, personally, and that update has fixed whatever the issue was where they just broke randomly and went all janky. But now, again, I feel like I'm just going to nail every single one of them. I don't know if that is massively different now to what it was when it was not the power bar, because, I mean, you could still mess up the power bar gauge, I guess. You could still get an incorrect stick flick. I still feel like there could have been, I don't know, something else. Personally, when I saw the AFL kicking, and you had to quick time it through the post, that was the graphic I liked more. People said they really liked the Rugby League kicking thing, which I think is quite similar to Rugby 25, so that's the sort of route they've gone down with it. So, you know, we've got to play with what we have. I do feel like I'm not going to miss one of those kicks, unless I really mess up or I aim to miss on purpose, just because I know how to push a stick forwards correctly. Well, back to the conversion games. Well, they have the LB arc height, shallower, taller. You know, I think that's a good shift. I think because I feel like some of the kicks were already very, very weird. But then they've also changed now that the way the kicks work. So if you kick too far to the right, the ball goes right. If you kick left, it goes left. Makes way more sense. So I'm glad they've been able to do that. The handoff and sidestep and the bump off nerfing. From reading the FAQ page before I jumped into the video, people were like, I got 0 handoffs out of 100. And I was like, wow, they've done the big ant thing. They've gone from extreme to extreme, and now we'll never get a handoff. I would say I got 80% of the handoffs and the bump-offs I went for in that game. The AI felt like they were sidestepping for fun. They got a couple bump-offs on me. They're still doing that thing where even after a successful bump-off, even if there is no defenders, they chuck the ball away for an offload, and like they could just carry on running. They don't need to offload all the time. They don't need to do that sort of stuff. I don't feel like that was nerfed massively. But I'm willing to take on board 300 odd hours in the game. I understand the timing of what would be reasonable for it to work. Maybe I just already had it like I was doing timing. Maybe I already wasn't outside those timing windows. So for me, it's not going to feel like a big difference. But some of you guys might feel like you can't even get one if you've been holding down like the handoff button from as soon as you receive the ball in the pass and you hold it down for 10 seconds before you run into the player. You might notice a big difference. Let me know in the comment section if you feel like there's a big difference with that one. And then, of course, the camera thing to zoom out fast. I know a lot of people don't play side camera. I know I ended up in the minority of people who end up playing side camera. But honestly, that speed feels much better, to the point in the first game that I played, I didn't even notice what was going on, which is much better. You don't want to be noticing that the camera is moving in and out and doing all sorts of stuff. You want to just feel like it's part of the game. So certainly smoother, certainly feels better to me. Overall, the gameplay has had some tweaks there. It feels better. I certainly think there's elements that are better. I think the conversions are now better. The handoffs, I don't know. I feel like, from my perspective, they could probably do with being nerfed more. But if you're already struggling with them, the last thing you'd want is to nerf more. So I can understand why that would be different. The camera change is pretty good. We're still, waiting on the larger changes, right? Which is the rucks. How do the rucks work? Why is Tonga taking that ball off me before anyone is in the ruck? Why are they still winning that? Is that a jackal? Is that just the AIs pushing special buttons I don't know about behind the scenes? Why can I not get a turnover for 6-7 phases even I've got more players at the ruck? We still don't really know what's going on with the rucks and whether they'll change. Still can't do anything to do with your set plays and running around. Your attack is still kind of one-dimensional. We're still waiting for some larger shifts. I think they've been doing some stuff as well with the Women's World Cup, because I saw JNT put in the FAQ page about that one was probably not going to be in for this update. But obviously the Women's World Cup on the go. So I assume that'll be something that will be maybe coming for the next one stuff. So there might be a lot more sort of content to take a look at, but certainly the larger areas are something to think about. Once again, I would say this update has felt positive because it's got the changes that feel better. I didn't notice in my games a lot of janky stuff. We had the one forward pass that wasn't caught by the referee, and we had that one bit where I threw the ball into a player that was clearly a knock on and not given. So they may need to take a look at whether or not all the rules are being picked up, because they were being picked up in the last update. So maybe something's gone off there. They might need to tweak that a little bit. They might need to tweak that a little bit just to make sure they are actually in for this one. But again, it's these 3-week updates. It's 3-week updates. We're hoping for the sort of broader perspective. And I'm sure that the guys over at Rugby 25 are working hard to try and do it. I'm sure there's probably a much bigger team involved with Rugby League, 26 rather than Rugby 25 now. So I'm sure they are working hard. The changes are feeling positive for me. But yeah, I think as we all want with a good rugby game, we want to see those big leaps forward, those big changes, something coming in. I specifically, from making videos, want to make the games feel more entertaining. And I am kind of struggling a bit with Rugby 25 to make the games look visually entertaining, make stuff happen. Even sometimes trying to just let the AI do stuff in order to try and make it feel like they're beginning to mount a bit of an attack and what have you. But there we are, guys. That's my thoughts on and feedback on this one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. If you played it yourself, or you're just watching along at home in this video. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.